One thing I want to say is you don't realize how loud it is outside until you go outside to record, and then you're just like, oh no, like it is far too loud. I wanted to change the scenery, like I wanted to change up the scenery a little bit, but it is very loud out here. My air conditioner just kicked on because even though it's almost October, we're in Oklahoma. So I guess we're gonna jump inside and we're gonna just go over, let's just talk about it inside. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jeff Richardson and welcome to the Macabre and Magic channel. Now, if you've never been here before, I'm a magician. I'm also a software engineer, and as of late I've been working in photography and cinematography, and particularly making some short horror films that I think are going to be really exciting for this channel. Now, today I just want to explore something I've talked about in the past, and that's creativity. More particularly creating meaning inside of magic, making magic more powerful, more meaningful. Now this is just going to be an elaboration of some thoughts I've had over the past few months, because if you haven't been doing Zoom magic, we probably haven't been doing magic. So we've had a lot of time to think and kind of elaborate. And so I just wanted to share some of those ideas with you guys. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is something I call demonstration mode. I think most magicians are in this mode all the time. And essentially, that's made up of two things. That's made up of exposition, which is describing what you're doing. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. Or you're doing demonstration of skill. And while those two things on their own aren't bad, what happens is when all of your magic resides inside of that, it just doesn't mean anything. When all of your magic sounds the same, it means nothing. I remember when I was in high school and I listened to the second Hawthorne Heights album, and I was so excited. I unwrapped it and I put it in, and I was in science class and I was like, screw science, who needs science? We need Hawthorne Heights. Anyway, I remember thinking at the end of that album, like, was there more than one? Like, I just thought this was one long song. Every single song on that album sounded exactly the same, and there was no texture. So the problem becomes when you just do exposition and demonstration of skill, the audience doesn't remember anything. It's all muddied together. I don't want that. So I think the first thing we have to decide and consciously decide on is that we're not going to just have magic that does those things. And in fact, I would argue, especially the first one, exposition of what you're doing, insults the audience intelligence. If you're showing 4 cards, you don't have to count 4 cards. I guarantee you they can count to 4. They've probably done it in their head without even realizing it. Demonstration of skill, while not bad, on its own doesn't mean anything to them unless you're able to kind of push something forward. And we'll talk about that in a second. So we have this. Now, before we go any further, I really want to talk about ham sandwiches. Can we do that? Ham sandwiches. You're probably thinking, what the hell is this? Should this dude have ate before he started? Yeah, absolutely. I could go for a ham sandwich, but that's not the point. Richard Wiseman created this thing called the ham sandwich idea. The ham sandwich theory, I should say. The ham sandwich theory goes something like this. You're walking on the road and you meet a stranger and you guys are talking pre-COVID, post-COVID, whatever. And you're just talking, and for whatever reason, you pull out a ham sandwich. That's weird. The guy's probably going to think you're a lunatic. The other version of this is you're walking down the street with this stranger you just met, and he just tells you, he looks at you and he's like, God, I am so hungry. I would kill for a ham sandwich. Then you pull out your ham sandwich. That version is a miracle because you've now just fulfilled a wish. One of those is a miracle. The other is just mundane and odd thing that happened. I think that most magic fits into that ham sandwich category before the person was hungry. You're just throwing ham sandwiches at people. Stop throwing ham sandwiches at people. What am I saying? Oh, God. The reason it's powerful is because, again, there's this context around it. This person was hungry for a specific thing. You filled that wish, and that's amazing, and that's a miracle, right? If we could combine these things, where we stop doing exposition of the things all the time, we stop displaying skill all the time, and we start somehow fulfilling wishes, I think this creates a more meaningful context, a more meaningful frame for your magic. So we have these things that we can do and not do to make more powerful magic, but how can we do that? How do we make a wish come true when we're finding a card that's lost in the deck? So I think it depends. John Wilson, in his book You, Me, and the Devil Make Three, had this really interesting idea. Imagine you put a coin in your hand, you close your hand, and you ask the person that's experiencing the magic with you, you ask them, what do you want to happen? Let's say they say they want the coin to vanish. When you open your hand and the coin's gone, That's a miracle because you've just fulfilled the thing that they asked for. There really weren't that many options, but it felt like that's the thing they wanted. And you did the thing that they asked. And in their mind, maybe anything you asked would have happened. I think that's pretty magical. Derek DelGaudio touches on this a little bit in it's called Invisible Dialogues, and you can find it on YouTube here, and I'll link it up. The thing that stuck out to me is that he says this particular line, which is, magic is a synonym for hope. I love that. I think it can be. I have a piece of magic where I'm experimenting with doing something very much the same. I'm talking about all of these other people's experiences about this piece of magic and how I wish I could experience it myself. And hopefully it puts them in the frame of soaking up every little thing and wanting desperately for the thing I'm talking about to happen to them. And so it becomes a wish fulfillment idea. So do you see what I'm getting at? It doesn't have to be this gigantic thing. We as magicians have this gigantic toolbox of techniques, these things that we obsess over for far too long. These things can be used to make something more powerful. I'm not saying throw out the toolbox. I'm not saying that. I think you need the toolbox, but I think we should be using it for something more powerful. Before I go, I want to throw one more thing at you. Imagine there's this amazing chef, or we think he's amazing, right? But whenever we go to his kitchen, he never actually cooks. He just talks to us about how awesome this knife is he just got, or what this flour can be used for, and how it's different than other flour. But he never cooks. He never finishes a meal. So we always leave from there impressed with his knowledge, but we're hungry. And we know if we're ever starving, and he invites us over to his house, probably not going to accept the offer. Sometimes we just want to eat. All of us are so knowledgeable. We spend years and years obsessing over books and techniques and moves and things that the audience will never see. And while we could use that in demonstrations of skill, I think that perhaps maybe the audience is a little more hungry for something more. I want to get more into some of these techniques as I'm going, and I'm still kind of thinking through a lot of this as well. And so maybe in a month, a week, a day, I'm going to watch this back and be like, I don't necessarily agree with some of this. But I don't know. This is where I'm at. I hope it's useful to any of you guys. Anyway, look out for some short horror films. They're coming up in October. I'm releasing 5, and I'm really pumped about those. So it's going to be cool. That's pretty much all I have. I'm pretty hungry. I think I'm going to go make a ham sandwich. Talk to you guys later. See ya.